Hello and welcome to this video from FinTech Futures, exploring the rise of digital demand in the industry. My name is Alex Hamilton, Deputy Editor of FinTech Futures, and joining me is Rajashekara Maiya, Vice President and Global Head of Business Consulting at Infosys Finacle. Welcome, Maiya. How are you doing?
Thank you very much, Alex. I'm doing fine. Hope you and your family are staying safe and doing good.
Yes, we are. We're all waiting for the restrictions to lift and hope that by the end of the year we'll be back to our new normal. But let's talk about that disruption. Actually, obviously, disruption's happening all the time right now, but more so than ever. COVID-19 has obviously been the huge accelerant, and it's the big change that's happened over the past year. But with that aside, and with that in mind, what other factors do you think have caused a new demand for digital in financial services?
Absolutely. Of course, COVID actually accentuated and accelerated the need for the digital, and as well as in terms of doing it at a scale. But apart from COVID, I think there's a lot of things that have happened in the last 12 months or 15 to 12 months, where customer demand and the dynamics of the expectations have completely changed. So to begin with the retail customers, they have been now getting used to the payment services, remittance services, and the peer-to-peer transfers provided by the big techs like the WhatsApp, the Google Pay, and Amazon. So that was already making a demand into the banking side, so that the retail customers wanting those kind of experiences from their banks. Similarly, the corporate customers were also looking at a lot more integrated, seamless, frictionless experiences, so that they should not have to visit a bank and fill up the papers and sign the documents. So everything can be digitized. And in all of these essence, there is one more requirement that came up much faster than expected by the banks, is the automation. The need for improving the efficiency and the effectiveness in every transaction and every interaction with the customer, whether it's retail, corporate, or SME customer. I think these are the things which came apart from the COVID, bringing in the disruptions in terms of the scaling things.
Okay, fantastic. So how and where can banks evolve to meet these challenging demands from both clients and customers, and also the climate?
Okay, see, first and foremost is, I think if you now look at, there are two broad categories of the banks globally. One set of banks which are conventional and traditional in nature. The other set of banks are neo banks or the challenger banks which have come up in last 4 to 5 years. What has happened during the COVID is the challenge for the conventional banks and traditional banks to digitize overnight at scale, and at the same time for the neo banks and the challenger banks to extend beyond a simple digital savings at simple digital deposit accounts and become a full-scale banker. So those are the two challenges that came up for these banks, and these banks have now taken it up with a lot more seriousness to address those kind of things, because the customers are no more going to go to branches in the traditional mode, and as well as the customers are not just happy with having only the digital savings or digital deposits on the mobile. So it is going to be a dual challenge for these two banks to make sure that the traditional banks scale their digital transformation much faster than expected, and at the same time the newer banks are expected to offer many more services than they are used to offer to their customers. And how they have done it, I think most of the pandemic period has been used by these two kinds of banks to look at in terms of the service providers, the vendors, the partners, the ecosystem, the fintech, the startups, and as well as making sure that you have a right choice of the vendors and integrate them with their existing environment, so that their journey towards digital transformation is much faster. And at the same time, the startup banks or the neo banks, they have started offering more and more services by extending the peripheral along with the digital savings or digital deposit accounts, by extending it to payments, by providing overdrafts, credit cards, buying of insurance, buying of mutual funds. I think this has happened during the pandemic. It's a good sign. Ultimately, the customer is going to get benefit out of it.
Fantastic. Well, let's talk about Infosys Finacle's own innovation, because Finacle won the Banking Technology Award for Best Use of IT for Lending with its project with Bank Rakyat Indonesia and the new Seria product. Could you talk a little bit more about the product, where it came from, and the project itself, implementation, deployment, and the results?
Absolutely. So as you are aware, the Asia Pacific has one of the most sophisticated IT in terms of the backend. And most of the banks here, whether it is private, public, government-held banks, have moved away from the legacy, and they have taken the leapfrog jump from the analog mode to digital mode much ahead of many other countries globally. And the current bank that we are talking about, which won the award, is the Bank Rakyat International from Malaysia, which is a government-held bank. And as you are aware, this bank has had a lot of branches which are not serviceable because of the typhoons or in terms of the hurricanes, or the data center is not connected many times and things like that. But at the same time, the unbanked population is almost above 60%. So there is an opportunity for this bank to now look at in terms of leveraging the technology that is mobile, and as well as leveraging the communication links, that is fiber optics and broadband connections and Wi-Fi, and making sure that without having physical branches, you should be able to onboard customers and provide them lending opportunity. And with that, they started a mobile simple app which basically onboards the customer, carries out the credit risk and credit analysis based on the information that is available, generates a credit scoring and a credit rating, and based on that, the lending has been provided. And all of these things happens within 3 minutes. And that's the most important aspect of this innovation, where the customer, even if he is not a regular customer of the bank, he should be able to now onboard himself using the mobile app, and as well as take the loan within 3 minutes, completing all the credit checks that is required. And like this bank has disbursed more than 1 million loan already, and they are now looking at extending this to farmers and the agriculturists, so that they should be also be able to take the advantage of this bank's credit policy, and they want to extend it to the entire country.
Incredible. I mean, obviously extremely popular with the customers and with our judges at Banking Technology Awards. So it's definitely a display of how good the solution is. So congratulations on that.
Absolutely. And the whole thing is, Alex, just to answer your second question, the whole thing has been supported by Finacle backend. So you have the Finacle digital engagement hub, which supports the external experiences connecting with the end customer. And in the back end, you have the digital lending platform from Finacle, which provides them onboarding the customer, the life cycle, the repayment schedule, and all that associated with the lending life cycle is supported by Finacle in the back end.
Incredible. So when we talk about how Finacle is responding to the new demands from clients, is there any difference from when you worked with Bank Rakyat to working with banks now? And what kind of developments do you see for 2021 and beyond?
Absolutely. I think 2021 and beyond is going to be a different way of doing banking because, as you're aware, globally, the branches that have been closed because of the lockdown, many of them may not open up at all again. And the proliferation of the digital technologies inside the house, that is also going to increase the adoption of digital banking services by the customers. As per an estimate, there is almost more than 40% of the European bank branches which have been closed during the pandemic. They expect it not to be opening again at all. And this number goes up to 50% in the US. So I think similar numbers are going to be applicable in the rest of the world. And that is going to now increase the demand for the digital services. So it is no more just offering a payment services or peer-to-peer lending services and things like that. The full-scale banking services are expected to be provided on the devices, whether it is using a browser-based banking or a mobile bank, or if you want to now integrate that with the social media apps, so that you should be able to seamlessly carry out your shopping and as well as the paying experiences. So this is what we see going forward in 2021 from a digital services being extended in the financial organization. Apart from that, we also see the global banks have realized the importance of collaboration, the importance of working with the ecosystem, and that leading into a platform business. I think 2021 and beyond, we expect banks to move towards the platform business and moving away from the pipeline business. What does it mean for the end customers and what does it mean for the banks? Banks will be able to now provide a marketplace, a financial services marketplace, where the service seeker and the service provider can come and register themselves and take these services and exchange these services. And there may not be any banking involved at all in this whole process. But this is going to improve the business model and help the banks to reimagine the way the banking has been done. They should be able to now add value services or in terms of providing some financing at the end of the transaction. I think this is what the model that we foresee going forward going to take place in the banking, that banks are moving away from the pipeline business towards the platform business by helping the customers to connect with their service providers using the banking channel.
I agree 100%. I think that's an excellent summary of where things are going. And well, this video has flown by. That's all the time we have for now. But thank you so much, Maiya, for coming on and speaking to us. Really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Alex, and thanks for the opportunity, and hope it is useful for your audiences.
I'm sure.
And stay safe and take care.
Excellent. And if anyone watching wants to find out more about Infosys Finacle, you can head to www.edgeverve.com/Finacle. And of course, you can stay tuned with us at FinTech Futures for more content. But until then, see you soon.
Thank you.